What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from BackTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're gonna dive into a dual review since these shows air on the same night. I think back to back. Uh, might as well, right? I saw them both on the same day, the day after they aired. So these are pilot reviews for Sheriff Country and Boston Blue. So both spinoffs, both on CBS, both have audio description done by Media Access Group that are also available next day air on Paramount Plus with audio description. I'm going to assume that we keep doing audio description the whole season. As far as my official Rotten Tomatoes reviews, I'm going to have more episodes before I do that. But yes, I will eventually review this. So I'm going to give you like an estimate of where I think my grade will be. But we're going to briefly talk about these two. So Country, I want to say County. Sheriff Country stars Morena Baccarin, who you would know from Deadpool, easily her biggest credit. So like by far, I mean, because Deadpool just made so much money at the box office. But I did not see the backdoor pilot of Fire Country that would have spun off her character. I guess she's a cousin to the lead of Fire Country, which is a show that I did watch a few episodes of when it first debuted, and I just didn't stick with it. Like, it was okay, but there was just a lot of TV that was going on. I don't not like Fire Country, and if I ever had like more time in my schedule, I would watch it. So I kind of feel about the Chicago shows. Like, I've seen a handful of episodes of all of them, and they're all fine. They just didn't keep me, if that makes any sense. There's a lot of TV, and for the shows that I watch that are still in their like multiple seasons, I really have to be hooked. So just because I said I watched like 5, 6 episodes of Fire Country and then stopped doesn't mean I didn't like it. Just meant that it didn't blow my mind. So Sheriff Country, I feel like do the same thing. So I feel like if you like Fire Country, you'll like Sheriff Country. Um, she plays a small town sheriff, interim sheriff. I guess her boss died, and she is. The big debate is, does she want to be sheriff? Because like the rich people in town are talking about backing a political contender who wants to be sheriff, and they're not sure it's her. So by the end of the episode, she'll know whether or not she wants to be sheriff. Cool. She's also got she has an ex-husband who's dating a friend of hers. It's very dramatic. She has a daughter who has an opioid addiction and is recovering, and that becomes a huge part of the first episode and also will bleed into the season-long arc. Her daughter is embroiled in something that will carry over into future episodes. She has a dad who is sort of has been on both sides of the law, is currently trying to become a legal weed farmer. So she thinks he might be a positive role model in helping to straighten out the daughter. She has a partner, and she has a couple partners, or a couple cops here that work with her. There's a sassy like receptionist lady. I liked her. There's a scene where they're having like this chili cook-off, and she recommends this one chili because and they're like, isn't that your boyfriend's chili? And she's like, one of them. I'm like, ooh, saucy. So yeah, so Sheriff Country was fine. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. I It would be on the low end of fresh for me, like 6 to 6.5. My problem is I didn't buy Miranda Baccarin in the role. I don't buy her as being a sheriff. And it's something that I kind of hate to say this. It's something that like I think overly attractive women have a problem with, is being taken seriously in these roles. And I think that's going to be. I know it sounds like that's a weird thing. I'm gay, so I know what Miranda Baccarin looks like. I was able to physically visibly before I lost my vision. I saw Deadpool, so I know what she looks like. I have a very good idea of it, and they did a similar show with Edie Falco where she became like the sheriff of Los Angeles. It was like at the same time they also had another one where um, God, from Stephen Dorff became in charge of Los Angeles. Like they had two people, and it was on like they were on the same night too. So like you could watch one on Fox and then one on CBS, and neither of them survived their mid-season premieres. So, and she played tough, and the show addressed what it was like to be a woman in that position. And I think they're dodging that here. I think they're dodging the whole like, and maybe it's intentional. Maybe they're trying to like be like, well, it's hard for a woman to be in charge in this area, but they completely dodged that in like the premiere. There's nothing about her being in charge. There's nothing about her. She's never like, well, it's hard for me to be taken seriously because people just see me as, they don't play her attractiveness at all, but she is ridiculously attractive. It's one of those things that it's hard to sidestep and not bring up. It's really hard to not talk about her being like, are you, so the fact that they don't bring it up bothers me. Like, I would rather them talk about it than not talk about it, because I feel like in every other project they talk about it at some point, but this was never a part of the pilot, was her being a female in charge, or her being taken seriously, or her attractiveness. Like there aren't guys who are like, oh, you're a sheriff, well, you can arrest me. They don't do any of that. They just kind of like, she's just in a role as if she's regular folk. She doesn't look regular at all. So um it's a compliment. I'm not saying she's a bad actress, but it's a weird thing to not bring up. I like Marina, and I hope the show goes well, but I think it's a weird thing to dodge. That would be the only takeaway that I have, is why are we sidestepping this? You know, we're kind of going down some rather typical tropes here with the child who's addicted to drugs and they're trying to not be, and having somebody who's now in law enforcement, but they have family members who have broken the law. Like we've seen those tropes before, and so they're avoiding this trope. Come on. Okay, so the other one is Boston Blue, which is going to have a hard problem convincing us why Donnie Wahlberg needs to move to Boston. But Blue Bloods is another one of those shows where I've seen a handful of episodes. I have seen Blue Bloods. Not in years. I don't remember Sean at all as a character. His son, who would have been much younger, by the way, because I saw Blue Bloods from the beginning. And so I don't know what he looked like in season 14, but the show opens on Sean, who's part of that family, and he's got a partner who is Blackish. It's this is his name from Blackish. I recognized his voice immediately. I looked it up. I was like, is that? I was like, oh God, the voice is killing me. And I looked it up. Yeah, it's the son from Blackish, who was also later in Grownish, and he plays the guy's friend, and so they're both sort of like the leads. They're the younger cops, up and coming, and they see a fire and they run in and have to save people, but things don't go well. They see there's a body that's been shot, so the fire maybe is staged to cover up the murder. And anyway, Sean suffers an injury, which his dad comes down to visit, and then his dad starts investigating the crime, so he gets involved in what is basically like a mixed race version of his family, from everything I remember about Blue Bloods, where they used to sit down at the family dinner. It was this like huge family, and Tom Selleck was at the head of the table. Well, this time it's like Ernie Hudson, and there's he's there, and then he has a wife who's white, and they have daughters. They have a white daughter who's Maggie Lawson, and the Sonequa Martin Green is the other sister. I think Gloria Rubin she's in here too. Maybe she's the mom. I was losing track. I was having such a hard time figuring out like who is what with who, because this family is all like, well, half sisters and step siblings, and it's all this like interesting conglomeration of people that make up this family, that eventually Donnie and his son will end up at this family table, and I guess Donnie's gonna end up moving to Boston and be around his kid and these other family members. But that so goes against everything that's about his, him being like from Brooklyn, I don't know how they're gonna do it. I don't know how. I actually liked this pilot a lot more. I thought the plot was more interesting. I thought the cast was interesting. It's got a cast that's like broad and across like on fire, just like a lot of people who stood out to me. I love Sonequa Martin Green. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan, so even more so than the Blue Bloods cast, I was like, oh my god, there's a new Sonequa Martin Green show. Got to check this out because I did watch Discovery for a little bit, largely because she was the lead of it, um, or co-lead, I guess. Uh, and so yeah, it's got a great cast. They're used well, utilized well. The plot, everything. It does sort of require you to know Blue Bloods, but also I did have a problem as somebody who hadn't watched 14 seasons of Blue Bloods, having passing knowledge of Blue Bloods, getting into the show. Didn't really. I just was like, well, Donnie Wahlberg was on Blue Bloods. If you know that, then you're good. If you conceptually understand Blue Bloods on any level, I think you'll be fine. So I did enjoy this pilot a little bit more. Audio description's fine. Both of them are perfectly fine audio description. The narrators, the writing, everything, they're about the same. Not like amazing. I wasn't blown away by anybody's audio description, but yeah, like there's a point where you just go, that was fine. That did exactly what it was supposed to do. Nothing more, nothing less. Checked all the boxes, you know. Just didn't go above and beyond. Um, so I would recommend Boston Blue more. I will probably watch Boston Blue longer than Sheriff Country. So that's the interesting take, even though I didn't really watch Fire Country more than Blue Bloods. I've seen about the same amount of episodes. Um, we'll see though. A lot of shows coming out. But yeah, I'm between like a 6 and a 6.5 right now in Sheriff Country, but that could change depending on. I like linear storyline, and that one has a clear one where they're doing something with the daughter. That's going to boost its chances of getting a higher score. I don't like episodic shows where everything happens like Law and Order, where there isn't a whole lot that carries over from episode to episode. Um, and Boston Blue doesn't really have that. It's all basically contained in the pilot. There isn't really like but there's this one thing that we're going to keep talking about all season long. Nah, they just kind of, the pilot's the pilot. You know? We'll find out what they're going to do the whole season afterward. So, there you go. Boston Blue is looking more at like a 7 to a 7.5 right now. They could go up or down. I watch more episodes before I do my tomato meter reviews, so that way I have a better understanding of the show, because a show can change a lot between its pilot and season finale, and I like to have at least a good grasp of the direction of the show and where it's headed before I review the season, if I'm not going to watch the whole thing. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.